Alright. How's it going, y'all? We're gonna be working on some mechanical stuff today. In these segments, I'll just be focusing on like specific pieces of tech that you can implement into your game that will help you perform better. So the first thing that we're gonna do, well, the first tech that we're gonna show in this segment is going to be Strafing, which is like the way that you should be trying to protect yourself when you're gunfighting. So if at any time when you're like at a hip fire range, like type gunfight, like with like, you know, someone and like you're doing this and you're jumping, that's like a problem, right? The reason why jumping is like such a bad thing to do at this range and in these kinds of scenarios and just in general is because once you jumped, right, you have very limited control over the horizontal momentum of your character, and you also have basically written a contract that you're going to fall at a certain speed also. And so both horizontally and vertically, right, like relative from the opponent's perspective, like there's not a whole lot of ways like you can change your momentum and movement. It's also like a very visible thing. So like once you're in the air, it's like a really clear like visual cue for your opponent that like, you know, you're going to be in a certain position at a certain time, right? The things that like make a shot more difficult to hit, right, are changes in direction, unpredictable changes in direction, I should add. Changes in speed, or unpredictable changes in speed. And those are the two key factors that are, well, I guess like speed helps, but the biggest things are changes in direction and changes in speed. Those are the things that are going to throw people off the most. Like for example, right, like if a Pathfinder got up on this zipline here, yes, like him being on the zipline is harder to hit than if he was like, you know, like running along this way in a straight line, for sure, because he's moving a little bit faster, but he's still moving in a straight line, very predictable, and like he never let go of it, right? It'd be very predictable in his motion there. So it's not just moving quickly that is going to do it. So like by that same like idea, like with the jumping, if you slide, right, like sure, you move a little bit quicker, and I mean, I should add that you do drop your hitbox, so that is a makes it slightly better than jumping. However, it's like a very committal thing, right? Because you can't turn around, like, right? To turn around and reverse your momentum, like it takes a pretty fair chunk of time before you can like turn around and reverse your momentum. So it's like you've made a commitment, and so like, and also again, sliding is like a very like clear visual cue. Like your character will enter into an animation that is very visible to the enemy, and so once they see that you've slid, like you might slide jump. Basically, like, you know, you're committing to moving in this one direction for at least like some amount of time. So like at this range, especially when you're having these close range gunfights, neither jumping nor sliding are going to be the things that help you. So the things that are going to help you, or the thing singular that is probably going to help you the most, right, is going to be Strafing. Strafing is, so there's like regular strafing, right, like our 80 strafing where you just strafe back and forth. This alone, right, being unpredictable and like making like alternating between like long and short strafes and short changes in direction are definitely going to be things that make it more difficult for the enemy to hit you. You definitely like want to be careful. So just strafing in one direction, taking these long strafes like this does not make you that much more difficult to hit, right? Like if I took a strafe this long, that does not make you much more difficult to hit. You need to be taking like varied, right? So it's like maybe you like go long for a little bit, and so then the enemy starts thinking, oh, he's just going to strafe in one direction, and then you like quickly reverse the direction of motion, right? And then like you maybe double back, or you know, so you like you force like the enemy to try and like correct and be wrong about like the side that they're correcting to you on. So that's like the first part of the tool, right? Now, Strafing is like an upgrade to like 80 strafing. Strafing is where you like literally, you know, crouch and strafe, right? Like you don't stop in the crouch, but I'm just like doing it to show it slowly, right? And so really great way to practice this is actually with the wingman, right? Like you go every shot. And like what you're trying to do is you're trying to practice like being able to keep your reticle centered on a target as you're performing the Strafing, right? And it just so happens that like the rhythm for like shooting like the wingman is like a great rhythm for like the strafe also. So this can be a really nice, easy way to like practice this piece of technology, piece of movement tech, right? And so practicing it like with the wingman, and then like picking out like other weapons that you know you may use at this hipfire range, R9, Volt, Mastiff, and like practicing, you know, using like your M movement And like it's like okay to like go back and forth like this, like, you know, one to each side a couple of times. It's okay to do it twice, 3 times, or whatever. What matters is like that you're not predictable, right? So if you do like 1 2 1 2 and you just do that for the entire duration of like the fight, again, you're becoming predictable. It makes it easier for the enemy. Now the reason why M strafing is like such a big deal, like, and it's so much better than jumping, sliding, or just regular 80 strafing, is that it's also going to pull like your vertical hitbox downwards. So you get to pull like your head down. So if the enemy is trying to aim for the headshot, or more likely they're like aiming like for the shoulder area, and like so that, you know, like they have a chance at like registering a few headshots. If they're just aiming at your shoulder area, right, then they're actually going to start completely whiffing shots like above your head. And so then they're going to have to pull their aim downwards, right? But then you like uncrouch and they're just shooting you like in the bottom of the torso with no chance to hit headshots anymore. And so like the amount of damage they can deal to you is like less optimal. Additionally, like, you know, towards like the center of your torso and like your hips area, the character hitboxes are actually narrower than they are at the shoulder level. And so like it reduces like the horizontal size of your hitbox also. So there's like a lot of benefits to crouching. And so, you know, you might be thinking, well, like, you know, you said, like when you slide, right, like it pulls my head hitbox down, right? Like it does pull your vertical hitboxes down. But it, like, the difference is like with M strafing, you're not making that same commitment to only moving in one direction at like a, you know, a certain set of speeds, right? Like with M strafing, you can choose to like just immediately reverse your direction of motion. You can continue the direction of motion. You can like stagger it. You can even like just freeze, right? Like you have so many more options in terms of your movement than you do like of someone who's sliding. So that is the piece of technology is M strafing. So again, just crouch as you do your 80 strafes, and like using the wingman like can be a great way to just practice like keeping your reticle centered as you like do your 80 strafes. Focus on trying to go for headshots. I think it just makes the target a little bit smaller and harder to hit. And like, you know, you can just keep backing it up until like, you know, you get comfortable with it. This is like, if you are ever in a range like where like cover is like not as available to you and the enemy, and you're just at this hipfire range, this technique will save your life. It will save your life. If you and the enemy like are roughly like the same amount of accuracy, I've found, you know, like I can usually walk away like instead of like trading, like walk away with like probably like half HP. Right? And like that 50 extra HP like makes all the difference. Gives you a chance to be able to get off the battery and like still remain involved in a fight. So this is a great way to, I guess, increase your win rate when it comes to like your 1v1 like close range fights. Very big deal. I guess the only other thing of note is with the Mastiff, it's worthwhile to practice like with the Mastiff just as a completely separate thing. To practice choking the spread in tandem, like with like this piece of tech, right? So, and like for me, I actually like use toggle aim, so it's like even more difficult for me. But definitely like, you know, practicing to choke the spread with the Mastiff, and so still being able to use M movement, but also choke the spread with the Mastiff will make you like really, really dangerous at close range. So just, you know, just like that little piece of tech to try. You add that to your game and you do that instead of jumping or sliding, and I guarantee you will like perform way, way, way better. Like so much better. It's like so easy to hit someone who jumps or slides at the wrong time. And yep, that's it.